And we are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And you know the deal. I got to talk to you, the people, about a few quick things before we get into today's episode. If you are new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on your post notifications button so you are in the know whenever we are uploading to our YouTube channel. And make sure to tune into later this week our episode, because we are going to be breaking down everything that happened during summer league this season, this last couple weeks rather, because a lot of players kind of emerged of possible hoopers for the Detroit Pistons, and we are going to tell you all about it. Let's get into today's episode number 39 of season 2. And one of those players that has showed up in a big way during summer league is Bobi Klintman. And we want to take some time to talk about him, some of his past, everything that's going on with summer league and why he may be succeeding. And the reason we want to talk about him is because he may be a value asset for this Detroit Pistons team. And maybe Pistons fans, I know us, didn't know the whole breakdown in his history. So we wanted to take some time to talk about that. Ryan, can you talk about some of the statistics from his last couple of seasons?
So this past season, playing in the NBL in Australia there, averaged around 10 points, 5 rebounds, an assist, a steal, a block, shot 44% from the field, 36% from three, and around 80% at the line. Not too shabby if you ask me, given the fact of he wasn't getting a crap ton of minutes, but he was getting a decent amount. And you go back to even when he was in college at Wake Forest, it spent 1 year at Wake Forest. And in his one season, again, limited playing time at that point in time, but he had averaged around 5 points, 5 rebounds, and assists, a steal and a block, and then shot 40% from the field, 36% from three, and 74% at the line. There's a theme there in the fact that he is shooting over either at 36% or over 36% from three, and that is something that we desperately needed this from this past season. And
Yeah.
I think Trajan nailed it right there with that. Just that aspect alone of Bobi Klintman and who he is 3-point shooting alone is something to just admire.
Yeah, and something that's interesting to me and something that we both love when talking about players and evaluating them is he's a 3-level scorer. And that, I think that's what impressed me the most about his play during summer league is he not just was shooting at a high clip from all 3 levels. He looked comfortable pulling up from the 3-point line, catch and shoot, finding himself at the 3-point line, or being a rim chaser during transition. I'm just so impressed at how he looks so comfortable on the court. And we know that summer league can be an adjust to some players, even though it's not a high level like the regular NBA season is. But the quickness that these young players have can be hard to get used to. We saw guys like Asar Thompson, Killian Hayes take a while getting used to this type of competition. But I think maybe with a Bobi Klintman, he got used to that in Australia. And I think that's why these semi-pro leagues may be great for these guys coming into the NBA and getting them used to that NBA style of speed.
Yeah, the NBL compared to like overtime elite, you have even whatchamacallit, the G League, Ignite, which is no longer a program. But the NBL is the real deal. It is European basketball, which is a little bit rougher than it is with anywhere else, comparatively speaking to the NBA rather. But the NBL is a very has a lot of talent. And what Klintman was able to do this past season with a limited role with that team is pretty darn good. You even go back to, like I mentioned, he spent 1 year in college, in coming out of, well, he came over, spent around a year in high school, and at that time he was being thought after as a 4-star recruit. which, I mean, it shows up because you look at the summer league highlights, it's definitely there. Came in as initially as a 4-star recruit. He initially committed to Maryland and then later decommitted and then he committed to Colorado and then decommitted. And then ultimately he made his decision to play at Wake Forest that one season. But after that, he was like, you know what? I need to set myself up for success. And not that, no disrespect to Wake Forest. Wake Forest has a good basketball program there. They're not like a blue blood or top tier college basketball. But he realized I need to play with in a pro league with guys that are a lot more experienced, that can really help me translate to this next level in the NBA. Because early on, he actually was um, in the draft class last year, and that's the decision that transpired between college to the NBL was he was in that draft pool last year, and he realized I'm not as good as a lot of these guys are. And I need to really, if I'm wanting to make it evident, hey, draft me or make a case for me to be on a roster, I need to go back and do some work. And so that's why he went out to the NBL there and was playing with the Taipans. But he is a solid player, and every single level he's been at, the 3-point shooting has stayed consistent.
So we kind of talk about this often, especially when evaluating players and if they look like they're NBA ready. And we talk about a lot the high release point on their shooting form at the 3-point line. And that's almost necessary in today's NBA, just off of the length we see in the arm spans that we're seeing in today's NBA. And Bobi Klintman has exactly that. He has and he's also, is he 6'8", Ryan? I believe he's 6'8".
6'9".
6'9". So that is crucial for a guy that is especially going to see some time against some 7-footers, 6'11" guys, where he can get a little outsized. And when you have a high release point like he does, it's going to lead to a lot of made threes. Ryan, we're going to talk about this a little bit more when we evaluate our summer league performances, but do you see Bobi having a significant role on this Detroit Pistons team? Because when you look at the performances he had in summer league, he looks like he is ready to be a role player on an NBA team. But with bringing in, a lot of 3-and-D players, Tobias Harris, who is nearly the same size, and bringing in other 3-point shooters, do the Pistons have a role for him?
I definitely think so. And it's all based off of, well, outside of play. You look at the contract he signed. He signed a fully guaranteed 4-year deal worth $7.9 million. Well, 7.99.
Right.
And everybody was going like, why don't they just round up? But $7.9 million contract on a fully guaranteed 4-year deal. And to me, Trajan is saying like, yeah, he's going to be on an active roster. He has a role on this team. And I think I got a keeper here. But and you push that aside for a minute and you look at the stats and what he's done in summer league. He looked like, as you said, he looks NBA ready. He looks like there's not a lot. I mean, obviously, any player is going to redefine their game at some point and put in more work, because you always have to perfect your craft. That's the bottom line. To be consistent in the NBA, you have to go and just work on it on a regular basis. All the great players do it. LeBron does it. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, etc. Everybody does it. And when I was watching Summer League, when I was watching Bobi Klintman, I'm sitting there going, and this is a weird comparison, but it's a comparison given their Summer League experience. And when I was watching Klintman out there, and I know the whole roster dynamic is different compared to back then. And back then it really wasn't that long ago, but it is now. When I watch Klintman, I'm like, he's kind of giving me Kyle Kuzma-esque vibes.
Yeah.
And they're just similar. Like Kyle Kuzma's not afraid to take that shot. He's not afraid
Right.
to just pull up deep from 3 and hit it. Klintman can do that. Kuz is great at 3-level scoring. Klintman, great at 3-level scoring. And what I liked about Klintman is he doesn't have to just be the catch and shoot guy. he can facilitate an offense. He can push the ball up the floor. He's great in the transition game. We saw that with Ron Holland and Bobi Klintman there. But like he can do just this, that, and everything else. And outside of his 3-point shooting, which is amazing, he's also a great defender because of his length and size. And that's something that I took note of. But in regards to the 3-and-D guys we brought in, like Tobias Harris, we added Tim Hardaway Jr., and then Malik Beasley too, even though he's a guard. With that dynamic, I don't see Klintman necessarily getting a crap ton of minutes, but he's gonna have a role on this team. I see him kind of having Tobias as a mentor, and really sitting behind him and learning about what Tobias has done his entire career, which the one thing that Tobias has done a great job of is staying consistent. And if Klintman, I mean, you look at the numbers of Summer League, like he seems consistent. The last game versus the Bulls, he was a little inconsistent in the scoring category, but like rebounds were still there, defensively still there, looking to pass. If Klintman can be consistent, which is what I think Langdon is hoping to have underneath like Tobias Harris or even Tim Hardaway Jr. or anybody in that regard, I think Klintman has a role, and I think it's not necessarily, it's going to be comparative. I would compare it to Marcus Sasser this past year, something along those lines where he's getting a chunk of minutes depending on the game, and it all is based off of what team we're playing. But I think Klintman has a role on this team this season.
I think to tell the true sentiment of where a player is at is you look at his worst games, and his worst game league was against the Bulls. He said statistically, points, he struggled, only 5, 2 of 7 shooting. But then he did the little things, and that's what you have to do when you're struggling to get the ball in the hoop. 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and really he didn't even necessarily put up a dismal shooting. He only took 7 shots. So I like that he knew how to pull back the shooting when he just knew the ball wasn't going in the rim, and go and do the little things. That is crucial for a young player in today's NBA to learn these tough lessons. That will do it for episode number 39 of season 2. Make sure to tune in for next week's episode as we talk about the summer league, everything that transpired. We will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.